Hello and welcome back to Catch and Cook California. I'm Dr. Kev. Today we're going on a kayak adventure on a remote section of the Santa Barbara coast. I'm joined by my brother Justin and our good buddy Eric. We're doing a whole lot of freediving and adventure and a whole lot of fun. Join us. After making camp, we headed out on Eric's boat, got all suited up and ready to go freedive spearfishing. We hopped in the water, dropped down to the bottom, and visibility was not particularly good, but not terrible. Here's a little Dungeness crab. The idea was to beat the sand for a while and look for halibut, and I don't know, as long as I kept looking, all I kept seeing were Dungeness crabs, which were not in season at this time, so I just kept looking, but eventually, having seen nothing but a whole bunch of Dungeness crab, I decided, okay, I think I'm over it. I'm going to hit the surface and shift gears because I really wanted some rock crab, which are in season. Of course, when I hit the surface, my brother swims over through the murk with this thing. Look at the size of this halibut. Perfect spear right through the head, too. Yeah, that's my brother. You know, you've seen me spearfish quite a bit on this channel, but yeah, my brother's like 10 times better than I am. It's always fun diving with him and diving with Eric too. He's an excellent freedive spearfisher. So yeah, we loaded that halibut on the boat, jumped back in the water, had to look around a little bit, but eventually I was able to convince the guys that we should get off the sand and go grab some rock crab because I had a special breakfast in mind. So here's a baby rock crab hanging out in the seaweed. Let him live. My brother's searching around on the bottom for a little while. And then here's Eric searching as well. And yeah, rock crabs are called rock crabs because they live in the rocks. And so the bottom is a little more interesting in the rocks. You tend to get a lot more biodiversity as far as the seaweed is concerned. There's some sea stars here. And yeah, eventually Eric came out of the murk with this beautiful male rock crab. You can see that triangle apron he's got. Tells you it's a male. And then I found this one. Bam! Pounced on him. You got to be very careful when you're grabbing these things. Make sure you get their back legs. If those claws get you, they will take your finger off. And this is a male also. Again, you can see that triangle apron on his belly there. Tells you it's a male. Yeah, these are really good crab, and they are open year-round. I like it. The pirate. Yar. Dude, that's a beaut. Thanks. We just got out of the water. Justin's gonna start filleting his fish. How big is that, bro?
We think it's just over 10 pounds.
10 pounds, about 30 inches. Yeah, that thing is sharp.
Yes, it is. I haven't done a halibut in so long.
I did 2 yesterday, but those were the first 2 I'd done in years.
They're pretty easy to fillet.
Yeah, I liked how it was very user-friendly.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, I saw like a pretty decent lingcod out there.
Did you?
So did you?
In the eelgrass.
Yeah. I saw one too, but he wasn't quite legal. But
I think this guy, I only saw the back half of him, but it was pretty fat, and I was like, oh, I think that thing's legal, but
I've definitely seen legal ones out there.
he didn't want to hang out.
didn't want to be added to the cookout.
Yeah.
Bam. Rockfish liver?
Yeah.
Huh.
These people were saving all the livers from their rockfish, and then they would just fry them in oil.
Really?
Yeah. And she was like, love them.
Huh.
They stopped making them in 1950, I think.
Dude, that's tight.
Halibut time. Usually I do everything from scratch, but I was at the Indian food store the other day grabbing a bunch of spices, and this is like a pre-made fish curry. Mix this with coconut milk, a little bit of water, and then you put your fish in. It's supposed to be quick and hopefully delicious. Everybody's cringing at home. I'll put another edge on it. Fanciness. Everybody watching this is like, dude, that lighting. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, the sun went down, all right? That's a lime. You can't see it, but it is. Don't worry, we'll have a full-on catch and cook in the morning. We got a chili. You know why? Because it looks pretty. Big chunk of halibut from the curry. Cilantro on there.
Dude, it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, from a packet, that's nice. The lime's good too. I like it. With the rice, coconut milk.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's like the simplest catch and cook you'll ever see us cook, but that was good. All right, tomorrow morning, the real thing. Crabacado toast. Mossy cup. New from Mossy Oak. No.
So this is the simmering ring. So it cuts down. You can put it out. With the ring. And there's this cap that has a gasket in it, and you can screw it on after your stove is cooled down, and it'll store the leftover fuel that's in there.
We have my brother Justin, whose nickname is Stovepipe Willie, because he used to collect stoves. Anytime we would go to like thrift stores or antique stores, flea markets, he would get these old stoves and he would restore them. So he knows more about stoves than anybody I know. So California, for the last, decade or so, has been just ravaged by wildfires, crazy droughts. At any given time, we've got, between 5 and 15 wildfires going on. Right at this moment, we have the Dixie Fire, which is the second largest recorded fire.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's huge right now, and the majority of the state is incredibly dry right now, and essentially a tinderbox ready to go up. And it's not just California, but up and down the far west. So we were thinking about it, and we like to do a lot of bushcraft. We like to have fires. We like to cook on open fires, but there's very few places that we feel are really safe environments to do this. And so right here on the sand, if you were to clear it, like on a day like this, there's no wind, this might be a decent place to do that. But most places, it's not safe. And so we use stoves.
There's kind of a few different styles of stoves here. This one is one that I have this little coffee making kit that I carry around sometimes because I'm kind of addicted to coffee. And the nice thing about this is it's super compact. These are called Esbit stoves. They got a lot of disadvantages. One of them is that the fuel smells terrible. It kind of smells like old fish. And if you're a fisherman, that's not a good thing, because like you go into your garage, you're like, why does my garage smell like old fish? Did I leave a fish in my kayak? Which has happened to me before. Yeah. But no, it's just Esbit fuel.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, not all of them smell bad.
Yeah,
like,
it's not great though.
You open a box and some of them smell bad and some don't, and I don't know why. But so one thing about Esbits, they don't have an off switch. So there's some regulations, like some areas that you are going to go to that won't let you use this type of stove because they want you to have an off switch. Basically, if the stove's starting to go, bad and you're worried that you're going to start a fire, like a forest fire, they want you to be able to turn your stove off.
Alright, so the disadvantages is the fuel smells bad,
yeah,
and you can't turn it off.
Yeah, right.
Any other disadvantages?
Not really. I guess some of the advantages are they're super compact, they're fairly light, and they're really cheap. This is a an alcohol stove. I think it's pronounced Transgia. They're European. They're pretty popular in Europe. They burn denatured alcohol, which you can't get in California anymore. But you can use this stuff, which is heat. This is Gasline antifreeze, so that's what it is. I've never used it because I don't live where it freezes. But you can get it at the hardware store or the auto parts store. It's pretty cheap. I think this is like $2 or $3 for this bottle. It'll probably last our weekend. So that also doesn't have an off switch, so there's places you can't use that. Another big disadvantage to these is that they burn clear. So if you kick it over and you're not paying attention, you spill like liquid that's on fire, and you can't really see it. You won't even notice it's on fire sometimes. That's another thing, is when these stoves are running, sometimes they burn so clean that they don't look like they're on, and so some people will go to refill them when they're still on fire, and like they'll light the bottle of fuel on fire too. Like, what I would recommend is whatever you get, like, practice with it at home, like on your patio, concrete patio, so if you knock it over, you're not going to burn your house down. And just figure them out, because they're all a little different. Even like one, like, you could buy a different type of alcohol stove and it'll run a little different. So it's just good to know how to use it before you try to cook your dinner at like 10 o'clock at night after you backpacked in 10 miles. This is an old white gas stove. So Kevin found this one in the woods, and he gave it to me, and I got it running. It had like 2 cups of water in it, and I drained the water out and put new fuel in it, took it all apart, and it runs pretty good. We cooked dinner on it. The disadvantage, I guess, to white gas stoves is if they leak, then all your gear smells like gasoline. White gas is just pretty much the same gasoline that you buy at the pump, but it doesn't have a lot of additives in it, which you can buy at the hardware store or at the camp store. White gas is kind of expensive. It's like $20 a gallon, but it's pretty efficient, so it runs for a long time. Like, you get a lot more boils of water out of 20 gallons of white gas than you will, out of a gallon of white gas than you would out of a gallon of alcohol. These have off switches so that you can use them in places that have stricter stove restrictions. But one thing is, like, a lot of the white gas stoves you have to prime first, and people that buy them and don't really follow the instructions might not know how to prime them right. This one you don't have to prime. The Colemans usually don't, because you pump them up a bunch and they have a bunch of pressure in the tank, and so they have like what they call an auto start. But a stove that you have to prime, you trickle some gas on the burner, and then you light the burner, and that preheats everything, so that when you open up the valve, you get gas vapor coming out instead of gas liquid. And what happens is, people that don't know how to use those stoves, they'll open the valve up, it'll flood the thing with liquid gas, they'll throw a match on it, and that'll cause a big fireball to go off, and then that gas will like cause more liquid gas to pour off the stove, and then you'll have a puddle of gas that's on fire and your stove sitting in the middle of it. I used to have this Jeep, and it had a big yellow spot on the hood because my brother and my dad tried to make coffee on the hood of my Jeep.
Did we really? Oh my God.
with an MSR backpacking stove. That's a white gas stove, and didn't prime it right. And yeah, so
seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, I'm glad.
That's awful. I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it was on a hunting trip, and I'm glad you guys didn't burn my Jeep down.
Yeah.
But I took the yellow discolored patch, and I was fine with it because I still had a Jeep. But
that's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Maybe don't learn how to use these stoves on the hood of your vehicle.
Do that. Yeah, so you can get light ones, like the MSR Whisper Lights. Those are real common. They're pretty light.
Like a backpacking stove. Yeah.
And they run at colder temperatures than these other stoves will run at. I guess the Esbits probably would run cold too. So, like, you can get way below freezing and these will still run. And you can get at really high altitudes and these will still run. So they're popular in, like, the Northeast where it gets really cold. Because if you're winter camping, that stove probably wouldn't even run, but this one will start up and run just like if it was a warm day.
Nice, I didn't know that.
This one was made in the 40s. I think it was made in 46. They made these from like the late 30s until I think 1950, and then they went to those suitcase. They had those suitcase style, but those green suitcase style Coleman stoves, They used to always run on white gas, and then more recently they've started running them on propane. And so that's Kevin's stove, so I'll let him tell you about that. Make a cup of coffee, which I think I will do.
Yeah.
While you talk about your stove.
Yeah, so we have a jet boil here too.
Yeah, Eric's got it.
Yeah, can we bring that down too? So this stove you've seen in a few videos, it's really dirty, not because I don't clean it, but because Martine and I decided to make a bunch of atlatl darts and use pine pitch glue. We had to do it on campus, so we couldn't have a fire while we were doing it. So we're heat straightening and melting glue, and it's got glue all over it. So it looks a little funky, but it's been through a lot. And disadvantages, this is obviously pretty large. You wouldn't want to use this backpacking because it doesn't really break down. But the main advantage, I mean, it does break down. The base comes off, it's got these cool feet that come out that gives it a little bit more stability. It's got a large burner, so you can put a big pot on here for, you know, your crawfish boil or whatever. But the main advantage, in my opinion, on these is the fuel. If you're not in a really cold area, I didn't realize that if it was like freezing temperature that these wouldn't run very well.
Yeah, I think it has to be like really cold, like around 0 or something. Okay. I don't know because I don't live where it gets cold.
Yeah, me neither. Okay, so that's a disadvantage if you're in a cold environment like that. In most environments though, and in most places across North America, you can find this fuel. And that's one of the things I really like about this. I used to bring a backpacking stove, that, like a little MSR that would run off of butane mix. You can get that stuff at backpacking stores, REI, those kinds of places, no problem. But if you go to like many of these more rural areas, like remote areas that I end up working in archaeology, they don't have them, but they will have a gas station, and that gas station will have propane. And so I ended up getting one of these years ago because I showed up on an archaeological survey with one of those backpacking stoves, but I couldn't bring the fuel on the plane to get to that location. I got one of these, and I always keep this in the car, and that way, anytime I need a stove, I know for sure I can stop at any gas station and get fuel for it. Eric's got more of a, this is a jet boil?
Yep.
You want to talk about this?
I think less than a minute.
Less than a minute? It's like crazy fast. But you obviously are not going to make a whole pot of stew on here that you could on here, you know, or a whole batch of mussels and clams in there as you could on here. So this is the kind of thing I would totally take if I was backpacking, and then just you got small portions, and you know, you plan to eat small portions because you're packing light and you're carrying your entire life on your back. You definitely wouldn't want to carry that backpacking. Advantage on fuel, you can get this anywhere. You can get this most places.
The other nice advantage to these, so we'll see how long it takes to boil this water, but they're insulated sides to them, so you can just grab this. Primarily, I know people just, you want water boiled quick, so you put it in a jet boil and you have water boiling in a minute. So for all your like backpacker, freeze-dried food and stuff like that, this is awesome. You can, it's been on less than a minute, it's already steaming at the top. So it conserves fuel really good too. One of these canisters, I mean, I've had that thing last me weeks if all you're doing is just making freeze-dried meals and a quick cup of coffee in the morning.
It's almost there.
You're almost at a boil now. The newer ones they make has a little gauge on the side. It's a little like heat indicator. And you just watch the thing light up, and when it gets to the top, you're done. And
nice.
I don't think those have ever taken longer than a minute to get water boiling. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we're pretty much there.
Very quick.
I don't hear everything you guys said about this stove, but these are cool. Eric gave me one, and I do use it a fair amount. They're really nice because like there's no learning curve to them. You just screw a bottle on them, light them, and then you're ready to go. I have a little coffee press kit for it, so it turns it into a French press. So it's a really nice way to make a quick cup of coffee. So if you're just like, oh, I'm gonna get a stove, I don't know anything about it, and I don't care to like learn anything about them. These butane stoves are pretty easy to use.
There you have it. More than you'll ever need to know about stoves. So hopefully that answers some questions. You could always leave more questions, and I probably won't know, but I can ask my brother and he'll know.
There's a bunch right here.
Yep.
Nice, dude. There you go. All right, so we just got joined by our buddy Dave, who just caught a bunch of anchovies out here offshore doing a little sabiki.
All right, so that's your breakfast right there. Enjoy.
We wanted to try cooking some bait. I think Fisherman's Life did this, so we're gonna give it a try. Fried anchovies. Eric says he hates anchovies, but he really is curious about this. I actually love anchovies, but I don't know. Fresh like this, I've never tried it. So let's give it a shot.
Already I'm regretting the idea of wanting to fry anchovies. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now.
This was your idea, dude.
It was my idea. I hate anchovies. Dave hates anchovies. We both watch people cook anchovies. I think they look good. Physically, I mean appearance-wise, yeah, this looks appetizing. But when you grab it and see like all the bones and...
At least we're going to know what halibut like.
It will be the freshest anchovies I've ever had in my life because Dave here just caught them like 10 minutes ago right there. So, I mean, maybe it's hot and it burns your mouth and you can't taste them.
You eat it like corn on the cob?
No, I'm going to break mine in half and see. Oh, so you could just take the spine out.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah, I'm getting a big old chunk there.
Oh, but now I'm missing the breading.
Look at that.
Did you just get a fillet?
Yeah.
How'd you get an anchovy fillet?
Here we go.
I mean...
Tastes like a fish stick.
Totally.
Yeah.
I didn't eat the bone. I should eat some bone.
I mean, I'm not convulsing, so that's good.
I didn't think I'd be able to make it through the first bite. Okay, I could see this, but I've seen people eat the bone. Oh no, the bone's hard. I'm not going to do it.
You know, I wouldn't run away from this.
No, not at all.
Someone said they're frying up fresh anchovies. Okay.
So totally.
Yeah,
so
I'd do it.
Kevin,
Again?
we've pretty perfectly taken the anchovy off the bone.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, honestly, this is really good. If it was a big anchovy,
Yeah.
and you could fry it like that, and perfectly pull it off the bone like this every time, sign me up. I'll come eat anchovies any day.
Fried clams. We dusted them in Ritz crackers because we ran out of flour. So, there we go. It's got great flavor.
The flavor's really good. So, it doesn't have any fishy flavor, no like bay mud flavor. It's really mild. It's a little bit sweet. The texture is a little bit chewy, but it's not chewy like a problem. There's nothing that comes to mind that's similar in texture,
Yeah.
but the flavor is really good. At first I thought it was kind of like scallops, but it's not.
It's so good, dude.
It's like very, I mean, it has no seafood or fish flavor to it at all.
Mhm.
Like, you could serve this to someone who hates fish and they wouldn't even know what it was.
Right. No, it's kind of got an abalone thing going on.
It is a little bit like abalone, but it's sweeter.
Yeah.
It's got the
Yeah.
sweetness that scallops have, but not the scallop flavor or smell.
Right. Or scallop texture.
Yeah.
That's good, dude.
That's it.
Alright, got a nice little candlelit dinner here. A few crab legs on there for garnish, if you will. We got fried clam on top, rock crab, bacon, egg, avocado on crostini. That is absolutely heaping.
That's pretty good.
Mmm.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, like crab and bacon, same time. That's delicious.
Oh man. It's a labor of love. This breakfast turned into lunch. It took a while. This is super good though.
Yeah, it's really good. The bacon's like perfect.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks for the bacon. That rock crab, man. Like, rock crab is not Dungeness, but that red rock crab is a good one. I'm digging that.
Yeah, it's really good. Clam's so much better than I expected it to be. I mean, I've eaten it different ways, but I never fried it. And fried is really good. I mean, it's always good, like ceviche or sashimi or
Chowder.
Chowder, but yeah, just if you've only had it in chowder, you should try it a different way because these fresh clams are really good.
I just had to tell some guys it.
Did you?
They're like, shit, are you that California catching good guy?
Are you serious?
Man, that was a treacherous paddle. A lot of wind. Swell picked up. There was current coming through. It was kind of crazy. I'm shaking right now. But I got to the other side, and there were two guys who apparently are my viewers. And their motor wasn't working, so I had to tow them in. That was cool. That was you guys, Nikos and Dave, I think. Don't say anything about where we were, huh? All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We definitely had a good time filming it and living it. So if you did, give us a thumbs up. Give us a, wait, how's that work? Give us a like, subscribe, comment, and consider hitting that bell-shaped notification icon so you'll be the first to know when our next video drops. And until next time, keep the old ways alive. I was thinking, my coffee has this wonderful aroma of shrimp or seafood or something. And then a bit of that flavor. And then I saw this. There's a little sand flea that has jumped into my coffee. Right there. Whatever.
This is amazing that there's only 2 boats out there and one of them's dead.
The sand flea roast from Starbucks is amazing.